David DeGuzman inside the NBC4 Digital Center. We are getting ready for college football season. It's a new era of the college football playoff, so naturally you may have some questions about some of the changes we're about to see. So to help me out, we bring in NBC4 digital content producer Orri Benatar. Orri, I just feel like, it's a 12-team playoff, and while it should be simple, I feel like, it's not always going to be that simple, because it used to be like BCS. I remember that era. Then we had like 4 teams. Like, okay, then there was all this controversy going into 4, and inevitably we're going to get a controversy going into 12. So let's start fresh here. What do we need to know about this new era in the CFP?
Well, I think the first thing that people need to remember about this season in particular is the expansion of the conferences, because that changes the landscape completely. Instead of a Power 5, you pretty much now only have a Power 4 after the Pac-12 basically became the Pac-2. So you've got USC, Oregon, UCLA, Washington all joining the Big Ten. SEC's got Oklahoma and Texas now. You got Utah as the top-ranked Big 12 team. ACC adding Cal, Stanford, and SMU. The Atlantic Coast Conference really leading to that name for sure. But that, I think, is where you're going to have to start, because that certainly is going to make things just feel so different. It's going to be so odd to watch Ohio State play Oregon on October 12th, and that to be a conference game. And that is going to breed, in my opinion, what I think is going to be a very tight conference schedule that I think will create a little bit more upsets. And at the same time, it's not going to leave a lot of room for teams in, now I would call it the group of 6 conferences, because the Pac-2 still technically exists.
Right.
And can have a conference champion between Oregon State and Washington State.
It's going to be a great rivalry.
Oh, what a rivalry indeed. I mean, they're going to have to do something about it. And also the fact that there's no divisions anymore. The fact that there's no divisions.
Yeah.
OSU can play Michigan in back-to-back weeks.
Right.
Play in Columbus and then play again in Indianapolis for the Big Ten Championship. So with all of that, it's going to lead to a lot of craziness. But the most important thing to note about the 12-team playoff in terms of a format, it's not like the 4-team where you just get number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 in those spots. The top 12 might not all necessarily make the playoff because of this whole 5+7 rule, which we'll explain here in a few minutes.
Because it also includes conference champions, but only some conferences get those, not all. We've already kind of gotten a taste of what the implications are if there's a loss, because we saw week 0, Florida State getting upset by Georgia Tech. And in previous years, your season would be done, basically. Well, your contention to make the national championship and to win a national championship would be done. Now in this 12-team playoff, it's a bit different, right?
A little bit. And many analysts have been discussing, and I see it too, a lot of 10-2 teams are going to get in. I think 3 losses is the cutoff. So from an Ohio State perspective, you probably can afford to lose one of those 3 big games this season, which I'd classify as the game against Oregon, then Penn State, then Michigan, obviously. You lose one of those, you still have a chance to make the Big Ten Championship. You lose 2 of those, your chances of being a top 4 seed automatically getting into the quarterfinal of the CFP are pretty much gone. You lose all 3, then you're not getting into the playoffs. So there is more room for error for the powerhouses, but you still got to make sure you're winning those big games, because you want to make sure you're avoiding having to play a first-round game in the middle of December and just get your way into those New Year's quarterfinals.
Yeah, it's weird to think about how a powerhouse like Ohio State, and we talk about that big game coming up against Oregon, which again, I'm right there with you. I can't believe that's a Big Ten game. Still have to kind of pinch myself about that. But yeah, you could actually go into that game, probably game of the year in the regular season, besides of course the game against Michigan, and lose that game potentially and still have a shot at a national championship. Or you actually made some graphics to help us out here. So I'm going to pull that first one up. It's the, kind of a mock bracket, if you will, which is kind of fun to play some bracketology. Kind of explain to us what we're seeing here as, you're the one who created this very interesting, March Madness in August kind of thing.
Yeah, March Madness in December. So it's going to take some getting used to utilizing the AP rankings before the CFP polls start coming out to give yourself an idea of a mock playoff. So the basic rule of thumb is this. The top 4 seeds that get buys into the quarterfinals, which will be New Year's Eve Fiesta Bowl, and then New Year's Day, you've got the Sugar Bowl, the Peach Bowl, and the Rose Bowl as your quarterfinal games, those are all conference champions. So the 4 best conference champions will get those top 4 seeds. So in this case, using the AP preseason poll, Georgia is the number 1 team in the nation. They would be ranked number 1. OSU is the presumed Big Ten winners. They're 3. Florida State, or OSU's 2, forgive me. Florida State 3 as the presumed ACC. Utah, now in the Big 12, the presumed Big 12 winners at 4. So they get the top 4 seeds. But then a 5th conference champion is guaranteed a spot. Now, realistically speaking, based on the realignment we're talking about, the top 4 seeds are probably going to the SEC, Big 10, ACC, and Big 12 champs. Obviously, if you have, Cincinnati win the American Athletic Conference, or they're not even in the AAC anymore, they're in the Big 12. See, I'm already confused. Let's use the team in the graphic as an example. Let's say Boise State won the Mountain West, but they're ranked 2nd in the nation. They would be the number 2 seed. But obviously, with the way conferences have realigned, that's not going to be the case. So let's assume the top 4 is probably most definitely likely going to be SEC, Big 10, ACC, Big 12 in whatever order. But you need a 5th conference champion in there. So in this case, Boise State gets in as the number 12 seed. There actually is no, non-Power 4 team in the top 25 in the AP right now. Boise State's technically ranked 28th, but they're the best team outside of the 4 top conferences in that poll, hence why Boise State is in the playoff at number 12, because it's important to remember Notre Dame is not in a conference, so Notre Dame can't be a conference champion. They have to get in as an at-large team. So after you put in your 5 conference champions, then you put in your 7 at-large teams. Another important rule, I know there's a lot of rules. It's going to take a long time to get used to. Let's say Boise State was ranked 8th as a conference champion. They would be the 8th seed, but because they're outside the top 12, they get the number 12 seed. But as you see this mock bracket, there is a ridiculous amount of good matchups here. Imagine December 21st, Alabama hosts Penn State, and the winner would then play Ohio State in likely the Rose Bowl game, Texas-Michigan rematch, Oregon hosting Boise State. So the excitement of the matchups is great, but is obviously a long time before we really see how this is going to pan out.
I mean, the fact that you have Ohio State and possibly Michigan in a semifinal to get into, that's already kind of blowing my mind. But I guess the rule of thumb is that it all has to add up to 12, right? So yeah. I feel like you start there and kind of see how the season goes. I think about last year, because I covered, I was in Southwest Virginia and I covered Liberty. Liberty would probably be in this bracket if this 12-team playoff had been instituted last year. So yes. There is a path for those group of 5. It's still just very, very slim. It's
slim, but it's likely that most likely that one group of 5 team is getting in, or a group of 6, whatever. We're still getting used to everything. It's a whole new world of college football. The terminology is going to have to change. It's going to take some getting used to. But Liberty is actually probably the favorite to get that number 12 seed because Conference USA, they ran the table last year, won that conference, got into the Fiesta Bowl where Oregon destroyed them. But
right.
because Liberty is the presumed, as of right now, potential 5th best conference winner in college football, then they have a really good chance to get in the playoff. But who knows if you see a Tulane maybe get in there, or maybe someone from the MAC pops up. You never know with these things. But at the very least, because of the realignment, you have a team outside of the power conferences that will get into the playoff, and the possibility of maybe a little bit of an upset. And something to remember, first year of the 4-team playoff, the lowest seed won the title, Ohio State. I don't think that's happening this year, but with the new teams coming aboard, it's always possible. You never know.
Hey, happy 10-year anniversary, guys. Yeah. Let's get to this other graphic that you assembled for us. Kind of how do we get to that CFP bracket? And keeping Ohio State in mind, you also got to think about, those top 4 get a first-round bye. That's huge.
Yes.
So explain what we're looking at and kind of explaining it in the terms of how Ohio State can get there.
Yeah, so just kind of, this is sort of my way of a guide of if you ever want to try and do this at home with rankings, this is
it sounds like fun.
It looks confusing, I know, but here's my explanation for it. As you're going through the poll, you want to pick out your 5 conference winners first. So as you can see, Georgia and Ohio State, top 2, SEC, Big Ten, presumed conference winners. But then in between there, it's all Big Ten and SEC teams because they have so many good football teams in those conferences now. And yes, Oregon and Texas, Big Ten, SEC. So they would automatically be at-large teams. Notre Dame can't be a conference champion, so they can't be that third top conference team. Florida State is the next best team in there outside of the Big Ten and the SEC. They're the 3 seed. Then it's Utah. They're the 4 seed. So obviously in this scenario, Missouri is in the top 12, but they're not in the playoff. So then you have to go all the way down to Boise State at 28 because all the teams below Utah are all in the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, or SEC. And then you can just count in order after you get your 5 conference winners to give yourself that 12-team playoff. And it's interesting because I was looking back at the previous CFP years to try and practice a little bit and get a sense. So a perfect example is I think it was 2016 or 17. That year Penn State won the Big Ten, but Ohio State got in the playoff. If it was in this format, Penn State would have had a bye and Ohio State would have played in the first round. Or in 2020, when it was just a crazy COVID season, Ohio State is still a bye because they're the Big Ten champions, but then you've got Coastal Carolina getting in. Indiana would have gotten into that playoff in the 12-team format. So it's just kind of...
That's good practice, though, I think. If you want to kind of play around with it, take previous years and kind of plug and play and see how that would have played out in this 12-team format. Should be fun, Orri.
It will be. Another good way to play around with it would be if you play College Football 25, the video game.
That's right, the new video game.
Because you're learning as you go along how it's going to work. But simply for Ohio State to get in the playoff, just don't lose 3 games. That to me is the biggest thing because...
Ideally, don't lose any.
Ideally, don't lose any.
As you said, there is a little bit of wiggle room. I really think that Ohio State-Oregon game is really going to be... If I were to choose a game where you're in danger of not having an undefeated season, that's the game I would start with. There's a couple other games where I feel like, okay, you're coming off of this other game. You're coming off, then you're going into Michigan. It's like, I get it, but I think that's the game that everyone's going to be pointing to. And that's going to be coming around the time when we start getting those CFP rankings.
And not to mention the fact that there is a possibility that could be number 1 versus number 2 in the country. Let's say Georgia loses to Clemson week 1 or Georgia loses to Alabama at the end of September before that OSU-Oregon game. We could be looking at number 1 against number 2 for that matchup. So there's a lot at stake in that OSU-Oregon game. Penn State, Michigan too, a lot at stake, but Ohio State will obviously, let's face it, they want to win the Big Ten. The expectation is for them to win the Big Ten, and winning the Big Ten helps a lot. You get 3.5 weeks of rest before you head into the quarterfinals, but at the very least, you cannot lose 3 games if you're Ohio State. If you do, you're out of the picture. If you lose 1 or 2, if you lose 1, I think they still can get into the Big Ten championship game. If you lose 2, then you're probably looking at a first-round match in Columbus, a playoff football game in Columbus. Still weird to think about.
There are worse things. Hey, while we're here, do you want to quickly just touch upon the Big Ten tiebreaker? Because I know you kind of studied that a bit, and there's the fact that there's a possibility that it comes down to a random draw kind of scares me. But that's like the 7th tiebreaker. But nerding out a bit more, I'll give you a little opportunity. Big Ten tiebreaker, what should we know?
So I don't know them off the top of my head now.
Well, I think the ones the fact
head-to-head is
first.
Things.
Head-to-head's first.
Yeah.
Conference record. Record against common opponents.
Common opponents is 2.
And then their conference record. What we should know though is these might take into account because there's no divisions and it's 18 teams.
Right, and because there's so few games and there's so many teams, there's going to be a lot of teams with the same record. So utilizing that Big Ten tie-breaking procedure into a hypothetical, you could have a situation where Oregon potentially is 11-0 going into the final, 12th regular season game, but then you have OSU, Michigan, maybe each with 1 loss playing each other essentially for a spot. Or you could have a situation where Penn State is in the mix there. Their only loss is to Ohio State, and then this and that. It could become very complicated.
Or there's a random draw and all hell breaks loose.
Well, maybe they should do what they do in soccer where before the random draw, you do discipline points.
Well, so the one tiebreaker right before random draw is something called like team rating according to like score analytics. I'm paraphrasing.
I see.
Here.
So we're using math now.
Yeah, but I did want to just bring that up because that is a possibility, going down the road to determine who will be in that Big Ten championship.
Yep.
Orri, it's always fun nerding out with you. I'm sure we'll nerd out more once the CFP rankings come out, or even before then, because week 1 could demolish everything what we know about that top 25.
And I think before we go here, I think it's important to take any ranking with a grain of salt, especially with the preseason rankings. I think preseason rankings are not a great barometer of really which team is the best team because we haven't seen any of these teams play. Florida State losing to Georgia Tech in Ireland in week 0 is proof enough, but we'll have to see how things are going to fluctuate after week 1. There's a chance OSU could be number 1 because if Georgia loses to Clemson, OSU could be the number 1 team. But then Oregon could go out and beat Idaho by 80 points, while Ohio State maybe only beats Akron by 45 points.
Right.
And then Oregon becomes number 2.
The possibilities are endless.
So the possibilities are endless. I take all the rankings with a grain of salt. I would utilize the rankings this year as your test and as your way of figuring out how the different playoff brackets are going to look week in, week out.
Good to know. All right, Orri, I appreciate it. Thanks for checking us out here on the Digital Sports Roundtable. We'll see you next time.